Good afternoon, it's 2:30 and welcome to Sedgemoor District Council's joint overview and Scrutiny committee meeting. I'm the committee manager, Steve Taylor. Hopefully those present will hear the meeting. However, in the event of a technical failure, the chairman will adjourn the meeting and set a new time to reinstate it. Please note the meeting is being recorded and a copy of the recording will be available on the council's YouTube channel in the next few days. I will now ask each councillor and officer who is taking part in the meeting to introduce themselves and confirm that they can see and or hear before we start the official business of this meeting. So first of all, Councillor Barber. No. Councillor Bartlett.
Hello, Councillor Bartlett here. Councillor for Dunmore Ward, just to confirm I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Betty.
Good afternoon, Councillor Anthony Betty of the King's Isle Ward. I can hear and see everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bruce.
Good afternoon, everyone. Councillor Hilary Bruce, representing Bridgewater Fairfax and Chair of Community Scrutiny Committee. I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Councillor Clayton. Councillor Cordner.
Oh, yeah, I'm here, Councillor Cordner, and I can see and hear everything.
Thank you. Councillor Crowe. Councillor Dyer. And a definite one here, Councillor Filmer.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, Councillor Filmer from Knoll Ward. I can hear and see the rest of the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Finneran.
Finneran, Cheddar and Shipham Ward. I can see and hear everything clearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Councillor Gibson. Councillor Gibson, she was here earlier. Okay, we'll come back. Councillor Godwin Pearson.
Good afternoon, Graham Godwin Pearson here from Axvale Ward. I can see and hear everything clearly. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Grimes.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, Councillor Tony Grimes, Beryl Ward. I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Harvey.
Yes, I am here. Councillor Harvey, Burnham Central. I can see and hear.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lilly.
Good afternoon, everybody. Councillor Lilly here from the Wyndham Ward. I confirm I can see and hear everybody. Thank you.
Lovely. Councillor Pearce.
Yeah, good afternoon. Councillor Cathy Pearce, Westover Ward, Bridgewater. I confirm I can see and hear everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Revens. Councillor Rodriguez.
Hi there, Diego here, representing Dunmore Ward. Yes, I can see and hear everyone. Thank you.
Councillor Scott.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. It's Councillor Liz Scott here from Axvale Ward. Can confirm I can see and hear everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Smedley.
Yes, Brian Smedley, Westover Ward, Bridgewater. I can see and hear everything.
Councillor Wong. Okay. Is Councillor Gibson back? Okay. And officers, we've got the leader here, hopefully.
Yo, present, yeah, and can hear and see. Thank you.
Thank you, leader. Alison Turner.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Alison Turner, Strategic Director and Section 151 Officer. I can confirm I can see and hear everybody, although I do keep freezing. My Wi-Fi link's not very good.
Leila Nicholson.
Good afternoon, everybody. I can confirm that I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
And last but not least, Dorothy O'Farrell.
Good afternoon. I confirm I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, coming back to the agenda, the first item of business is the appointment of the chairman. Do I have any nomination for the chairman, please? Councillor Lilly.
I nominate Councillor Slocum. I'm sorry, Councillor Smedley. Sorry.
A slight difference there. And is that seconded, Councillor Scott?
Yes, I'll second that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any objections to that? No, in which case I'll hand over to the chairman, Councillor Brian Smedley.
Thank you very much for that possible resounding vote of confidence. Welcome to today's joint committee meeting for the two scrutiny committees. The Joint Overview and Scrutiny Committee particularly looking at Leaders' high-level budget later on. But to start with, we're looking for apologies for absence, please.
I've got no apologies, Chairman.
Noted. Minutes of the meeting of the 7th of January 2021. Can members confirm that as a correct record?
Chairman, there's one small amendment I propose. Under the heading, to replace the word corporate with joint overview so that it reads minutes of the meetings of the Joint Overview and Scrutiny Committee held in the virtual meeting room on Monday the 7th of January 2021 at 2:30 p.m. and not the minutes of the corporate scrutiny.
I assume members accept that is the correct version of what should be there.
Thank you.
So we'll accept that. Anybody want to take any issue with those minutes? Otherwise, I'll propose that we accept them. I don't see any indications in the signalling department, so that's accepted then. In terms of urgent business, I don't believe there is any urgent business today.
I'm not aware of any, Chairman.
Thank you. Public speaking time. Do we have any members of the public beyond the councillors that are here?
Sadly, no.
No. So we'll not have any public speakers today either. So any declarations of interest that haven't already been made anywhere that need to be declared today, please indicate. Otherwise, your standard declarations will be taken into consideration. I see no indications again there, so that's fine. We now go straight on to the leaders' high-level budget. This is the time of year when both committees assemble to look at this. You've all had the reports, but we have with us, of course, the leader of council, Councillor Duncan McGinty, to give us an introduction to this, and then we will hand over to Alison Turner. Can I just go straight over now to Councillor McGinty?
Yep, thank you, Chairman. I'm not going to do my normal long spiel at this point. We do find ourselves in strange times. This is probably the last budget that we will prepare, that we will have a free and clear hand in preparing such budget because the unitary is coming thick and fast in front of us. It is in advance of the budget set. And I hope this year we may be able to put politics aside as we did last year and work jointly with all political groups in order to present a budget in March that will be consensual by all the parties and include things that will set the scene for the unitary and give it the importance that we believe it should be with regard to a district council. There are no great changes to the process and policies. We continue our use of resources, a balanced use of resources in order to limit any problems so that we won't be in a position to cut services. And I hope that message will get across to the new unitary authority when it comes into place. So I'm here to answer any questions. I've got Mrs. Turner here who's going to give us an update from the report to the current day and anything else that may be heading on the horizon that may affect our budget for next year. So without further ado, with your permission, Chairman, I'd like to hand over to Mrs. Turner.
Alison Turner, please. Can you hear us, Alison?
Sorry, Councillor Smedley. At that point, everything froze. Apologies. I will try and speak really fast before I lose my link again. Yeah, just to add really on from what the leader said, this is the last year of setting a Sedgemoor District Council budget, and it follows on from the medium-term financial plan that we presented not very long ago. Actually, I think that was end of November, beginning of December, which was a 3-year plan rather than the 5-year that we normally do. Although clearly there isn't 3 years left of Sedgemoor on its own. We are in a good financial position, and a lot of that is to do with the fact that we've had our managed use of balances approach. So all of our initiatives for savings, such as the CAP programme, etc., we've given ourselves enough time to deliver those savings to help us, and it has really helped us financially. Just in terms of the figures presented to you today, we are still waiting for some final figures. We're not expecting them to change dramatically, but we are still waiting for the final settlement figures. As detailed in the attached note to this report, in terms of financial settlement, that was a provisional financial settlement, and just to summarise, we were £455,000 better off when those figures were announced. I don't expect them to change significantly for final, but just to caveat those that they're not the final figures, which is obviously a positive for us. What we're presenting to you in this report is almost a balanced budget anyway, so you know, clearly that will just help us with our financial situation. We are still waiting for final drainage board levy figures. We allowed 2% in the figures presented to you today. It's likely that they might be a bit higher than that, so that will have a financial implication if they come through like that. Also, in section 11 of the report, just comment on the fact we have already identified our proportion of the LGR implementation costs at just over 700,000 that need to be built into the budget. But there will be an additional budget request when we come through it tax set for funding that we need as Sedgemoor to put within our budget to make sure that we've got adequate funding for backfilling, etc., to make sure that we can still maintain service levels. There's also in there a paragraph in terms of funding, extra funding that we would want to put in for extra support for staff. LGR is going to have a significant impact on our staff with the change, etc., that they're going to be impacted. So we wanted to make sure there's budget in there to help them through that transition period in terms of training, etc. And also we want to make sure that there's sufficient budget in there to complete any commitments that we've got to community projects before we get to vesting day. So there are a few areas where we still need to put in some final figures, and as the leader said, I think it's big with the other political parties to talk about those initiatives. So although we're presenting to you figures and a budget that is almost balanced, there are some additional items that will, I'm sure, go into the final tax set report that goes to executive on the 9th of February and then to the tax set council, I think it's the 24th of February. I haven't got anything further to add, but happy to answer any questions that members may have.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor McGinty and Alison Turner. Before I hand it over to members to ask any questions of either party, I think I ought to comment on the fact that the leader has offered a more broader approach to the budget, which I think was the same last year. I think people, the Labour and the Liberal groups, put in their own budgets, and accommodation was made to try to involve key items for that. I think that's a good way of going into Sedgemoor's final year. I think Sedgemoor's come a long way since the original confrontational issues of many years ago. In the last couple of years, the budgets have reasonably been generally supported, I think. And while we are looking at legacy of Sedgemoor and leaving the place for future generations in soundly, there are several other issues on the horizon which have been flagged up in the report. Clearly, the self-imposed misery of Brexit, the unknown quantity of COVID, and then the potential idiocy of local government reform. But that's all in the mix for us to try to sort out as we go into them. So I'm sure we'll all take up the option of working together in Sedgemoor's final year as best we can. Can I ask any members of the committees, joint committees, if they'd like to ask any questions of either Leader of Council or I see Phil Harvey's got his hand up. Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Brian. A simple question, well, maybe a simple question, may not be a simple answer. Can we have an update on what the returns are on our commercial investments? Are they coming out as predicted or lower? And is there any significant effect on this budget because of them?
I can just give you a general response. There's no significant impact on this budget at all. but I'm sure Mrs. Turner will be able to give you more specific.
No, we've been fortunate in terms of the investments that we've made, because even with the impact of COVID, the sort of investments we've made have still held up within that time. There is one property where we've had a little bit of an issue. Those figures have been built into the figures presented to you, but that is sort of resolved itself to a degree, and that is within the figures that are presented to you. So no, we have been quite fortunate with the investments that we made in terms of the return.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions from any member of the committee? I don't see any hands raised. No. In which case, then I take it that members are happy with the direction of travel that has been presented today and look forward to the incoming budget. There's a couple of recommendations that we need to take. That's to support the continued maintaining the balances at 1.5 million. And if anybody wants to add any other recommendations, that now's the time to do it. Can I ask if people are happy with that proposal? Otherwise, we note the budget, the report. To me, that sounds and seems and feels like everybody's speaking as one on that, which is appropriate in the dying years of an authority as we move towards making the ground lovely for future generations. So sure we will do. Thank you very much for that report then, and let's move on to the next item on the business today, which is the work programme. Steve, you'll have to be unmuted, mind.
Thank you, Chairman. As members can see, we've got the work programme for both scrutiny committees there in front of you. So that's the plan of action for the next couple of meetings. If anybody has any suggestions for further items for scrutiny, it's probably best to email those to the appropriate chairman. This is Councillor Bruce and Councillor Smedley. Happy to take any questions.
That's the problem. If people want to raise anything here and now, please do so. But the suggestion there from Mr. Taylor is that members add ideas for work programmes directly to either myself as chair of corporate or Councillor Bruce as chair of community. Would anybody like to comment at this stage? Are people happy to take that equilibriumistic approach as well, as we all seem to be doing fine today on the cooperation front? I see no indication as to any to the contrary at all, so I would suggest that's the way forward. As the leader himself says, we head to a brave new world. Where that will be, nobody has any idea, but we're getting there together, aren't we? So that's, I would say, Steve, concludes the business for today. Would you not? Yes. Thank you all for your attendance. Chairman. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you for the officers putting those reports. We look forward to the budget and the continued final years of work programme for Sedgemoor. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.